I call the world the Matrix very simply. If the people who've seen the movie, they will know that our body heat inside of the movie, the body heat of humans is being harvested and used, and they occupy our minds with a false reality to keep us producing body heat long enough for the machines to function. And I believe that's a perfect analogy of what happens in the world today. I believe that our labors and our intellects and our work is basically being exploited from us and extracted. And to keep our minds occupied, they purport a false reality. Perhaps it's not a computer simulation like the movie, but it's certainly computer controlled. If the social media companies and the media companies can control the information people have access to, and they'll delete an entire side of the argument for anybody who tries to talk against it, then they are creating a false reality. And people are buying into this false reality so that they can stay asleep long enough to continue to be a slave. So I think the Matrix is a perfect example of what's happening in the world today. And anybody who stands up and speaks loudly up against the Matrix, if you do it too loud, too long, sooner or later they see you as a problem, they want you to go away. And there's 3 stages to that. First, they try and delete you everywhere and cancel you like they've done to me. The second stage is put you in jail for no reason. The third stage is to kill you. And they want to delete any morality from your brain because it's a baseline morality that prevents them from installing the slave programming. By getting you to a point where you no longer think for yourself, they can just tell you anything is true. That's what they're doing to us right now, Zuby. What they're doing is convincing people to ignore their own eyes. When you walk into the toilet, as a woman, and you see a big man, and you have to pretend that that's not a man. You have to pretend it's not, because if you acknowledge what your own eyes are telling you, you're the enemy, right? Once they can convince you to ignore your own eyes, well, that's the end of the game, isn't it? Now it doesn't matter if they see the sky is blue, because the media said the sky is red. And that's the final level of slave programming they're trying to get us to. They want us to ignore our own eyes, ignore our own ears, ignore our innate morality, because we're all born with an innate morality inside of us. We believe certain things are wrong and right instinctually. They want us to ignore that. Get rid of all of it, empty brains, empty hard disks, and plug in the new program for whatever they think is applicable at the time. And it's going to be tyranny and slavery. What else would they want to program into us?
What's scary to me is that there's people out there that have a strong emotional reaction to scenarios, people, or events, and they don't even know why.
They just read a headline.
But that's the true slave mind. When someone can say a name to you and you're furious and you go, why are you angry? I don't know. Like that shows how programmed you are.
They can control his emotions like
this. They can control you.
Yeah.
So anybody who's critically thinking, anybody with a brain,
it's a problem.
The reason the Matrix has attacked me is because of that. It's because I am an influence.
Yeah.
And when they don't like influence because I've not sold my soul. They don't control me. And normally when you become massively influential, they control you. You either sign a contract or you're a sponsor or you're a manager.
A record label,
whatever. They have some kind of leverage over you to make sure you only say what you are supposed to say. I'm an individual which they do not control. I have mass influence over the population of Earth.
Yeah.
And when you have somebody like me who is principled, who has morals, who believes in God, who will not sell their soul, will not promote degeneracy, who also has mass influence, they see me as a threat because they say there are certain agendas which he will not promote because of his morality.
Right.
And we need immoral people who have sold their souls absolutely and completely, so they'll enforce the slave programming amongst the population. So they see me as a threat because of my mass influence. And me being positive in and of itself is also a threat to the establishment because they don't want people to be happy. They want you to be semi-depressed and sad and miserable because when you're sad, you're self-obsessed.
And you're distracted.
You're distracted and you're self-obsessed. When you're sad, you're sitting at home, me. It makes you very selfish. You don't care about your community when you're sad. You don't care about your country when you're sad. You don't care about the injustices of the world when you're sad. You don't care about trying to actually go and make the world a better place because you're too busy thinking about yourself. So they want you miserable, semi-depressed, sad, unhappy, so that you can sit at home and accept them doing whatever they want to the planet and other people without ever talking or standing up or doing the right thing. If you're happy, and motivated, you're going to be far more likely to fight against injustices. So the fact that I have mass influence and I can just make people feel better is a threat to them. I really believe we're living at a pivotal point in history. As AI gets better, as technology gets better, as they get more and more control over the money and the way people think and the way people move, I think that absolute slavery and tyranny is coming to the entire world. I think our children's children will live as slaves. I think the idea of social mobility will be absolutely and utterly destroyed. You're going to be born into a class and that's where you're going to belong and stay. If you say the wrong thing or think the wrong thing, you're going to be punished for it. And I think this is one of our last chances to fight. And I think it's a battle of good versus evil. It's genuinely God against the demons. And I know that I'm on the side of God and I'm a strictly religious person.
And I couldn't live with myself if I didn't talk. And if God decides that I have to be martyred for that, then that's his decision. So it's unfortunate, but that's what happens when you have mass amounts of influence. If you had control of the world and you spent huge resource and energy on media machines to make people think a certain way, and somebody like me came along and made everybody not listen, would you like that person? Would you want that person to continue to talk? And normally when you sign a contract and you become a music star or a sports star or whatever, you shut up because you have sponsors, you have money, you can get canceled, etc. You have to be quiet. And I'm not in that position. And I'll make it very clear here, I would never kill myself under any circumstances, ever, ever. And if I like to think that if anybody sees a media article where I've been locked up for whatever it is, they're gonna look at it and go, this is bullshit. Tate didn't do that. With the scrutiny I'm under, does anyone think I'm breaking the law? I'm the most scrutinized man on the planet. Like, if I was breaking laws, I'd be in jail. Trust me. I drive at the speed limit, my friend. That's the level it's got to. Like they think I'm out here doing bad things. So when an article comes out saying Tate did this, I just pray there's enough people who are outside of the matrix to sit and go, this is some bullshit. And he doesn't deserve this, because I don't deserve it, because I will be innocent.
And this is another thing that I say all the time, and I don't think people understand, because I get asked always why I'm still fighting against the Matrix, even though I truly believe my life's going to be in danger. And the reason is because I believe that the battle has come to all of us, and I don't believe it can be avoided. I think you have two choices. You either understand the way the world's going, and you understand the lies they're trying to purport to your children, and you understand what Satan's trying to do, and you fight against it because you want to be one with your spirit and one with your heart and one with your mind. Or you pretend the battle isn't happening, absorb all of their garbage they're teaching you, and then you're going to end up fighting against yourself. And I'm like, the reason is because if you're going to sit there and ignore your own eyes, pretend God isn't real, pretend all these narratives they're trying to teach you are true, have no standards, be tolerant of everything, and have no serious relationships with anybody, you're going to be an unhappy person. So you either fight against the Matrix and have your mind in order, or you sacrificed your mind to the machine and you end up battling against yourself. There's no other way out. This battle's here for everybody. And if you're truly a man of God and a man of principles and you stand by them and stick by them, you're going to end up an enemy of the machine. You're going to end up the resistance like we all are now by saying things they don't want us to say. Otherwise, you have to sit here and go, everything they tell me is true. The machine tells the truth. But then you're going to suffer within yourself. There's no way out. So I'm not saying everybody should go my route. I was in a unique position, and I was saying for a very long time before I got canceled, I'm going to get canceled. They're going to delete me. I know it's coming for it. And I was in a very unique position. I think that a lot of people understand that there are tyrannical forces in the world and that censorship is a big issue. I think a lot of people are pissed off and unhappy with the social media platforms as a whole. If you ask the average person who does YouTube videos, he'll be like, yes, they censor too hard. Everyone understands that. There's a lot of pressure behind the dam, and I think if you can put a crack in the dam, it will break. The crack that was missing is if you get canceled, your career's over. And once I prove that's no longer the case, then the crack will appear and people will say, I've already seen it happen. Before my cancellation, I never heard anybody say, if they cancel me, I'll just move to Rumble. Never heard that once. And now I hear it every 5 minutes. So people are already starting to understand, oh, you know what? There's certain issues I will speak about. Certain things are important enough for me to risk my account. And if they cancel me, I can still survive. And I think once you do that, you allow people to resist maybe not all tyranny, maybe not change society, but the most obvious and crazy forms of tyranny, like locking us all in our houses for years, for example. I really think that's you can shift the way society functions. And I think that's really important because I don't think many people have studied history long enough to understand what happens when you delete one side of the story. The reason such heinous things have happened throughout all of human history is because they delete one side of the story and they tell you one false version of reality. And that's how people end up dead in ditches. That's how people end up starving to death. That's how every single bad thing that's ever happened has come from censorship. It's the beginning. The good guys never censor. It's the bad guys who censor. Always from the beginning. So if you have a duty to yourself and to God, you have to stand up and say something. This is reality.